3:05 for U.F.C. and Sideline covers an experience fans won't soon forget.
Crushing defeat. More on the Miami Heat's last regular season game at home.
And a ballpark concert, how the Miami Marlins celebrate a big win at home. All of this and more on the Sideline.
Hello, South Florida, and welcome to the Sideline, the place where you get all the highlights for your South Florida teams. I'm Mauro Rueda.
I'm Nicolette Esper, and the Sideline starts now. So we're taking a moment today to mourn the loss of former LSU football player Kyren Lacy. It was officially announced Sunday night from sources that it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
The 24-year-old wide receiver was a potential pick for this year's NFL draft. Lacy was at LSU from 2022 to 2024. In his final season, his best catching 58 passes for 866 yards and 9 touchdowns. Prayers to his family and the LSU community.
So after winning the NCAA championship, the Florida Gators had some extra honors during their week-long celebration. Gainesville Mayor Harvey Ward presented the team with a key to the city, and during their football team's orange and blue game, the Gators were honored at halftime in front of thousands of adoring Florida fans.
The Miami Heat rested Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo against the Washington Wizards in the regular season's last game. Despite a 41-point game from Jaime Jaquez Jr., the Heat couldn't contain Washington's three-point shooting. The Wizards shot 43% from downtown at the Casella Center yesterday to secure a narrow win. The final score was Washington 119, Heat 118. Now, the Heat will face the Bulls in the play-in tournament this Wednesday in Chicago.
Both the softball and baseball teams face big tests in their conference this weekend, but let's start with softball, who wasted absolutely no time settling into their series against LA Tech. Janelle Martinez showed that she's still hot at bat by smashing a 3-run homer in the very first inning. La Tech would then enter the bottom of the 6th to tie with FIU, but the most clutch team in Conference USA delivered again down the stretch.
FIU with a up the middle, and it gets through. Callie Meredith gives FIU the lead. She gets to second.
Final score was 6-5 FIU, and Callie Meredith would also deliver a highlight on the defensive end, crashing into the wall at center field during the team's 5-2 win on Saturday to prevent what looked like a multiple-run homer from La Tech. But the real MVP of the weekend was Kennedy Bird, who not only pitched a complete game on Friday and then returned on Sunday to pitch 6 innings. Offensively, she also smashed in 2 homers.
And FIU baseball also held up their end of their deal with a 2-1 series win of their own against Mexico State. Let's start with the story of the weekend, Keyshawn Fred, who made it 4 straight games with a home run. Anyone would have thought he was playing with New Mexico's elevation. Take a look at this bomb on Friday.
My goodness, Fred destroys one to left. Goodbye. It's a 1-run game. My goodness.
An absolute no-doubter sent 453 feet into the air. The Panthers would follow Friday's 6-4 loss by cruising into an 8-2 victory on Saturday off of pitcher Owen Puck posting a career high of 9 strikeouts. Juan Villarreal would then tie his own career high with 7 strikeouts in Sunday's matinee as he continues to impress in his 3rd start of the season for the Panthers. The Panthers now sit at 22-13 and will make a quick midweek stop in Fort Myers tomorrow to take on FGCU before traveling up to Georgia to take on Kennesaw State.
Now we're talking about the Panthers on ice. The Florida Panthers outlasted the Buffalo Sabres 3-2 in a shootout win at Amerant Bank Arena. Rasmus Dahlin opened the score late in the first on the power play, but Carter Verhaeghe tied it in the second with a spectacular backhand finish. Jesse Puljujarvi put the Panthers ahead late in the second with his first goal as the Panthers, and the Sabres forced overtime when J.C. Petarek scored on a 5-on-3 with just 7 minutes left, and after a scoreless overtime, Anton Lundell buried the shootout winner, and Vitek Vanacek stoned all 3 Buffalo attempts. The Panthers move on to a tie with Tampa for second in the Atlantic, both with 98 points.
Inter Miami ties for the 3rd time this MLS season against their host, Chicago Fire. After Inter Miami's impressive comeback win over LAFC in the CONCACAF Champions Cup quarterfinals, fans were expecting more. With 5 combined yellow cards issued only in the first half, the match only grew more intense as both teams were desperate to open the score. Inter Miami's goalkeeper Oscar Ustari with 7 saves and Chicago's Chris Brady with 3 saves each emerged with their first clean sheets of the MLS season. And even with Lionel Messi playing all 90 minutes and multiple opportunities for the team, including 2 free kicks, they just couldn't get that winning goal. Next, Inter Miami will play Columbus Crew on Saturday.
The U.F.C. came back to Miami this weekend, bringing fans the full fight night experience.
Sideline's Mia Florian attended the U.F.C. fan experience and brings us more on this immersive event.
I may not be in the octagon tonight, but I am in the middle of all the action right here at the UFC fan experience, where fans are fired up for fight night in the 305.
This is only the second time in over 20 years that the UFC has hosted a major fight in Miami. Since it doesn't come around often, fans are taking advantage and getting the full experience.
There's no fans like Miami. Miami's awesome. Yeah, I mean, clearly there's a demand for it, so.
From meeting fighters to getting exclusive merch and testing their own skills, the fan zone brought people closer to the octagon without having to step foot in it.
My father and I came to this event only for meeting the fighters. I'm very excited.
Oh, the fan experience is amazing. It gives all the fans a chance to meet us and talk to us and mingle, and it's just fun.
The UFC energy in Miami is non-stop, and the anticipation for what's to come is real.
Give me Volkanovski.
Folks getting the belt back.
Nope, give us Volk.
Getting the belt back, baby.
Volk's Greek, I'm Greek. Diego Lopez, he's a dog. I love them both.
Clearly, Miami is more than ready for UFC 314 and for the crowning of the new UFC featherweight champion. With Alexander Volkanovski and Diego Lopez in the spotlight tonight, we are sure that this fight will not disappoint. For Caplin News, Mia Florian.
In honor of April being Autism Awareness Month, the Dade County Association of Firefighters hosted their 6th annual Riding for the Cause event this weekend.
Yes, and this event was about action and lifting voices to remind families that they are not alone. Caplin's Rosario Mendoza attended and shares with us more.
The Miami-Dade Fire Rescue Training Facility became the starting point for hundreds of first responders, community leaders, and residents. The joint force is not for an emergency, but for a mission of hope, riding bikes for the cause to shine a light on autism awareness. Now, let's take a closer look at how this community came together for a powerful cause.
Since 2018, the Dade County Association of Firefighters Charities has helped to raise funds for children on the autism spectrum, helping them to receive the therapies they need and giving families the support they deserve. On Saturday, April 12th, the community came together for the 6th annual Riding for the Cause in support of autism awareness.
It's amazing to see a great turnout. A lot of people here to support an amazing cause. A lot of people deal with that in their families. A lot of officers have people in their families that deal with autism, and it's just great to see the support from the community and from law enforcement as well.
And after finishing the 12 and 40-mile rides, the cyclists and spectators had the opportunity to enjoy music and delicious tasting of food and dessert from vendors and sponsors.
This is a wonderful event. It's a wonderful opportunity for us to be here. We feel very, very proud to be able to participate, to raise awareness about autism. This is our 6th annual event. What we do every year is we try to make sure that we incorporate more people, more public safety agencies, so that we can continue to raise awareness. Proceeds that are raised during this event, these proceeds go to services for those folks affected by autism and their families.
Riding for the Cause was more than just an event. It was a powerful reminder that when the community comes together, barriers break down. It's a celebration of community, compassion, and connection. This event is about action. It's about lifting voices, creating visibility, and reminding families that they're not alone.
We're really proud to ride for the autism cause. It's a ride that my friends and I do every year. It's really close to home. It's something that we love to support. We love that it's local, that all of the fire rescue and police are here, so it's a really, really great event. It's really well organized, and it's something that we make sure to do every year. I would say always to ride with a purpose. That's kind of what my friends and I aim for, is riding with a purpose. So
today, the miles traveled do not just represent effort, but it represents that when the community comes together, the impact is much greater. Reporting for Caplin News, this is Rosaura Mendoza.
Well, Mauro, it is time for our favorite segment, W and L of the week. Of course, there was big W's, big L's. Let's start you off. Go ahead and start off with your biggest W for the week.
Well, for my W, surprisingly, I have the Marlins as they won their series against the Nationals at home during the weekend.
Okay.
The final game was tied until the bottom of the sixth when Griffin Conine scored after a sacrifice fly to give the Marlins their first lead of the game. Miami extended that lead thanks to a 3-run homer by Matt Mervis in the seventh and won 11-4. Look, this team is not making the World Series, but they have a winning record of 8-7 so far and continue to give fans something to hang on to despite a lack of stars. Last year they had them and weren't winning, but they're definitely competing so far this season. We'll see how long it lasts. At least they're not the Atlanta Braves, who are last in the division.
Absolutely. I mean, the Marlins, surprised everyone, including me. I started this series off with them being my biggest L, and now, surprisingly, I have them as my biggest W. The Miami Marlins are kind of changing the game, not to call them a bandwagon after the New York Yankees started with it, but the torpedo bats, this new invention is paying off big time. They're the new bats that are shifting weight to the barrel's sweet spot for maximum impact. I mean, just look at the results on Friday's game against Washington. All 4 Marlins RBIs came from the torpedo bats. Xavier Edwards with a 2-run single and Kyle Stowers crushing a 2-run double. I mean, Stowers and Edwards were on fire using these bats, and in their first 2 games, they went for 8 for 16, 4 RBIs. And this isn't just about luck. It's part of Miami's winning strategy. They're not just combining the they're not just trying to switch their things around. They have the Peter Bendix, who's leading the charge. Of course, Aaron Leonhardt's innovative design, who's and this is, like I said, they're not bandwagons. We knew that these torpedo bats were going to get around to every other team, and I think that this could be dangerous, but this may be just the start of something special for Miami. And as someone who was rooting for maybe their downfall, I'm kind of excited to see how the Marlins get off.
As you said, it's not the fact that they use them, because everybody's going to use them, it's how they use them.
Absolutely, absolutely.
It was hard to pick an L this week when we moved to the L's, because there were so many to choose from, but I am going with Kylian Mbappé, who got sent off in the 80th minute in Real Madrid's match versus Deportivo Alavés.
Right.
The French striker was shown a direct red card after a late challenge with his studs up that left the rival player Antonio Blanco needing medical attention. Mbappé didn't get any part of the ball in that one, and it's surprisingly that the ref had to go to VAR to send him off. It was clear to me that he should have been before.
Wow, that's kind of just not fair, huh?
No, he's an attacker. He shouldn't be doing that,
Absolutely.
to be honest. But yes.
Well, for my L, this one's got to hurt for Miami fans. Miami's regular season finished with a painful way, the most painful way possible, a buzzer-beating heartbreaker to the lowly Washington Wizards. Here's how the crushing loss went down. Rookie Bub Karating played the villain, banking in the game winner. You could see in that video just how excited they were for that rookie. As the time expired, still 119-118 win for Washington. The Heat led by just 1 with just 5 seconds left, and we've seen this for most of the Heat season, how they go to the end and then right at the end, whether it's 5 seconds, 5 minutes, they just completely lose it. And it was a backcourt violation to save the Wizards, that gave the Wizards their chance. Jaime Jaquez, we mentioned earlier, he was completely unstoppable, dropping 41 points in this loss, but it wasn't enough. We saw Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, who's sitting down, resting for the play-ins, but they showed heart. But the bigger picture for the Heat is that they're locked into the 10th right now. Miami now heads to Chicago for a win or go home, and this really costs everything. And this loss in particular, it cost them that momentum that they needed for the play-in games. So I think that right now that they need to just take a step back and just kind of breathe, not dwell on this as they head into Chicago. That's coming up on Wednesday for the play-in.
It is true. They have lost all 3 games against Chicago this year.
Absolutely.
So they can't dwell on that.
They need to
You're right.
very much lock in, for sure. But up next, we have a post-game concert at loanDepot Park.
Celebrating Venezuelan heritage, Sideline will take a timeout and will return after the break.
Last week, Brandon met a girl on a dating app. One day after work, he finally found the courage to ask her out. No answer. He started to panic. Was he being too pushy? Maybe it was too...
Hey, sorry I didn't respond. I was driving. I I would love to go on a date. How does tonight sound?
Brandon tried to play it cool, but inside he knew a girl so smart, so responsible, she must be a keeper.
How do you know when you've made the right decision? It's the feeling you get in your gut. The one that tells you what's right or wrong. It's the one that says, sure, I can have a drink. Or the feeling that says, okay, I've been drinking. Now what? It's the voice inside you that says, I'm buzzed. Better leave the car when it's time to go. Plan ahead. Catch a sober ride. Buzz driving is drunk driving.
Every day,
millions of people are connecting.
And even though we're overcoming obstacles,
watching each other's backs,
and banding together,
we should still make an effort.
We should still make an effort
to get to know each other
on a deeper level. Father,
cosplayer,
mentor,
actor.
It's time we take a step forward.
It's time we take a step forward.
Come together
and discover
how accepting our differences
can make us stronger.
Fans at loanDepot Park experienced more than just a baseball game as the Marlins hosted a special celebration honoring Venezuelan culture with music, food, and a post-game concert.
Yes, and the night brought the community together in a big way. And Sideline Stephanie Tenya takes us inside the excitement.
Today, I'm here at loanDepot Park, where the Marlins are going to play in the Washington Nationals. But today, it's a different night. The Marlins are celebrating the Venezuelan Heritage Night. Let's take a look. Tonight, loanDepot Park isn't just the home of baseball, it's also home for Venezuela. From arepas to the iconic tambores and jerseys repping la vino tinto, the Marlins were swinging big for Venezuelan Heritage Night.
I've been in charge of organizing Hispanic Heritage Night for a long time. It's important to me that we can grow and represent many cultures with these events. Instead of giving just one day or month to Hispanic heritage, we want each country to have its own night so we can offer diversity. In this case, Venezuela, which represents a lot to me.
The sound of joy and the taste of home brought thousands of Venezuelan fans together under one roof. This evening, the crowd cheered not only for runs, but for pride, excitement, and the spirit of a nation that lives in every corner of Miami.
These type of events help us feel at home more than anything, even if it's just for 2 or 3 hours, and that's what fills us with excitement and happiness.
I'm so excited to see Chino and Nacho. They're Venezuelan icons, and it's really nice to see them together again. And that same thrill just fills us Venezuelans.
And the celebration did not stop at the final pitch. Legendary Venezuelan duo Chino and Nacho lit up the stage with a post-game concert filled with singing, dancing, and non-stop energy that kept the party going all night long. From the diamond to the dance floor, the Venezuelan community showed that their passion for baseball runs deep, but passion for their roots runs even deeper. Today, the game was full of culture and community, especially connecting with the community. Reporting for Caplin News, I'm Stephanie Tenya.
It's time for a fun segment, game picks. We have play-in for the Miami Heat, Rangers, my team, facing the Florida Panthers, even though they're already eliminated, but, you know.
Sideline Sabrina Lozano gives us her insight on such an important week and what's to come.
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Sabrina Lozano, and here are my picks for this week's big matchups. First off, the NBA play-in tournament, Miami Heat versus Chicago Bulls. It's been a tough season for the Heat. They wrapped up the regular season with a 37-45 record, their worst since 2014-15 season, and they finished in 10th place in the Eastern Conference. That means they're facing a win-or-go-home scenario, and after a short win streak, they dropped key games, including a frustrating 1-point loss to the Wizards just last night. And let's not forget, we played the Bulls last Monday, and we couldn't pull through then either. The one upside is Bam Adebayo, who sat out the regular season finale to rest, should be back for this one. And as much as it pains me to say this as a fan, my pick is the Bulls. Next, let's move on to NHL. The Florida Panthers versus New York Rangers. The Panthers have had a strong season overall and are currently sitting third in the Atlantic Division. They're coming off a solid 3-2 win over Buffalo. And despite a few ups and downs, this team has constantly shown that they can compete with the best when their core players like Kachuk and Barvak are firing. The Rangers, on the other hand, just took a tough 7-3 loss against Carolina. They're sixth in the Metropolitan Division, and they have struggled defensively in big matchups. Plus, history favors Florida here. The Panthers have won 7 of their 10 games against the Rangers, and they have already taken their first 2 games in the season's 3-game series. With home ice advantage on top of that, they're in a great position. My pick is the Panthers. And finally, MLB. The Miami Marlins versus Arizona Diamondbacks on Tuesday. The Marlins are coming back a dominant win against the Washington Nationals. So far this season, they've been a little inconsistent, but they're currently holding third in the East, and they're showing a lot of promise with both fresh talent and seasoned players stepping up. The Diamondbacks, on the other hand, have been one of the most unpredictable teams this season. One game they're unstoppable, and the next they can't buy a hit. They sit 4th in their division, and they've been too inconsistent to even be a reliable pick. That's why I'm going with the Marlins. We'll see how the week plays out. That's it for today's game picks. I'm Sabrina Lozano, and back to you guys in the studio.
And just a reminder that if you want to keep up with updates, fun segments, and more from our crew, you can follow our Instagram for all things Sideline. Follow us at sideline.caplin. And that's all the time we have today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Nicolette Esper.
And I'm Mauro Rueda. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next week on The Sideline.